Rob, how are you doing? Good. All right, let's call to order the Board of Zoning Appeals. Roll call.
Roll call. Tony Getzweller.
Here.
Doug Amberger.
Here.
Pat Weisenbro.
Here.
Luke Kaiser.
Here.
Ken Wonstroth. Johnny Yergang. You're not on this one. Perfect. And Brad Marcy. Okay.
Okay, with that, we need a motion to approve which month's meeting?
January.
January's meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'll move the minutes for the BZA.
Yeah.
I'll move to be approved as submitted.
Do I have a second?
Sure.
Can I second it? I'll second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So we got the mayor appointments. Do we have to do anything with that? Or is that just a statement on there who was appointed? There's nothing to be done on the appointments, right?
No, there's nothing to be done.
All right, so the first order of business is 122 Vine Street. There's a front yard variance that's being requested. Do we have somebody representing?
All right. Excuse me. I'm Rob Sig here with Sig Surveying, representing Darren and Ben Warner, and then also Dale and Amy Lauber. Dale and Amy are the title holders, and Darren and Ben are the people that are buying the property on land contract. That's why they're both on the application together for the variance. So Darren and Ben are proposing to put a duplex on the lot. They'd like to split this. The lot is proposed will support 4 parking spaces. The duplex is 30 by 34, 2 units, and meets all those sizing requirements. And then the lot as proposed will meet all the requirements as far as land area. The only issue that we're having and running into is the front yard setback. We cannot meet that setback given the rear yard. So they're requesting a variance from 20 feet down to 4.5 feet. The west adjacent building, as it sits, it's already pretty much right at the front property line along Schrader Street at 0 setback. So with that in mind, and the zoning across the street, I think offers less setback as well too. So I didn't feel that it was a huge stretch to offer a variance at something like this. So that's the main reason why we're here tonight. Any questions?
So real quick, like Rob mentioned, the code is 20 feet, and so the variance they're asking for is 4.5. Correct?
That's correct. We'd like to go down to as little as 4.5 in order to meet this, for the building the size they're choosing to fit in there. So, and again, the adjacent building to the west, which is on the same lot we're proposing to divide, it sits at a 0 setback currently. It's right at the lot line.
All right, so before any discussion by the board, is there anybody with the community that wants to speak on this? Jeff, do you mind going back to just because everything's recorded these days?
I'm Jeff Ollier. I'm representing the library board, and we have no problem with this at all. The only thing that we'd like to remind them is that the library's going to be using our parking lot and overflow. So we will be starting to make sure that nobody parks in there that's not at the library. And if possible, we'd like to see a privacy fence between our parking lot and the building. I think it would be best for both groups that stuff don't spill over either way. But as far as the variance, we're happy with that. We just wanted to voice those concerns.
I have questions. I'm unsure. Is the setback off of Schrader Street or Vine Street?
Schrader Street is the front of the proposed front of the structure that they're adding. So that'd be the front setback.
So the setback off of the sidewalk along Schrader Street would be 4.5 feet.
That's correct.
Okay, how about the existing house and the proposed duplex are on the same lot?
Correct. We're proposing to divide this, so we wanted to ask for a variance first before the division, showing what this structure is going to look like. And in doing so, you know, we felt it was prudent to ask for a variance first before trying to divide the lot to add this new structure.
And the code for duplexes are for 2 parking spots?
I think it was 2 per unit, so that's what we're showing is 4 spaces total. 2 will be on street and 2 will be off street.
I didn't think you could include on-street parking.
Well, hold on. So there's a difference between what Ken's saying, and I think what you're saying. I think in that instance, weren't they asking for a variance for the parking? Where I think tell me if I'm wrong, you think that's part of the code. They're not asking for a variance on that. So the question is whether or not that fits within the code, is what I think you're saying, right, Ken?
I'm not sure that the off-street parking wouldn't be included because it could be any street in Batesville. You could claim as your off-street parking for your.
You know, and I don't know offhand, but I think Ken might be right.
Yeah, I know we have something in the code about off-street parking and counting that. I'd have to go double check specifically what it says.
Well, okay, that's fine, and I agree, and that might be another issue that you might have to come back for because I don't think we're asking for that tonight, right? And so, but that's a good question that I think we need answered on that. Because I don't know, to be honest with you, Rob, to be honest, off the top of my head, I don't know if that counts or not. I think Ken
I wasn't aware of that. I was just assuming that the parking in the frontage in front of that lot would be considered parking for that particular lot.
Having lived on Schrader Street in my youth, that is a very narrow alley. It was at one time. Still is narrow.
Well, I agree, and I guess the question is, if we don't know the answer to that and they're not asking that, I guess it's how we want to do the variance, and if that's a discussion that needs to be further investigated.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can't vote on that tonight anyway.
I mean,
Because we're not being asked for that if it's a variance.
as you can see in the photo, there's 2 vehicles parked pretty much in the frontage of that lot right now.
I don't disagree. I think the question is whether or not that fits within the code.
Okay.
So the question is whether or not that needs to be a separate variance, I think is what Ken's addressing here. It might be a separate issue is what I'm saying. I don't know off the top of my head, to be honest with you, Rob.
Yeah, I
I don't know if that counts or not.
wasn't aware of that. When I put this sketch together, I worked with John and whoever else, with Mike and the other fellows over there in the zoning, and asked about that, and nobody brought that to our
I
attention.
know
that
there's
that
a
would
way
be an
they
issue.
can count it, but I forget what the fuck. I mean, I can go grab the book real quick. But
Well, I guess it doesn't really matter because that's not even in front of us in this sense. I guess the point is whether we grant this variance or not,
Right.
there might need to be a caveat that has to be looked to prior to any more approvals. on anything like with the city.
And if
I think that needs to be adjudicated in some.
And if that's the case, we could certainly come back for that if that is part of the code. But yeah, the request tonight is for the front yard setback because the structure they've chosen, there's just not enough room to get 20 feet out of the front.
Correct. So there might be a caveat on this if someone makes a motion, Rob, to investigate this further, because we couldn't even vote on it if we wanted to, because there's been no notice to anybody around that if it's out of code.
Sure.
So we couldn't even, we'd have to put a caveat on that just to make sure until we have a ruling on it, if that's all right.
Yeah, and then if it's delayed for a month, that's what we could do.
Because I do not know that off the top of my head.
Okay, another question. The existing house at the corner of Vine and Schrader, I know the front yard that goes to Vine Street is that 4.5 type footage. But what is the setback from Schrader Street on that existing house?
That's what I'm saying. It's basically, it looks to be about at 0. So that's
Like it's right on the line here.
right. I'm saying it's at 0 at the front. Now on Vine Street, it's set back some. So I really technically haven't measured it yet, but looking at the slant of the roof line and looking at the next part of the structure where you don't see that slant in the roof line, the higher part of it, it's very close to the line. So it's already more than, it's well over 20 feet within the 20 feet setback.
Is the existing house presently used as a duplex?
That I don't know.
There's two street numbers on that building, 122 and 124 or something.
It very well may be. I know Darren and Ben are the owners by land contract, purchasing the land. And I do believe they might have said it might be a duplex. So, but I personally haven't been over there.
That
He
would be
just-
another issue, not before us right now, but with parking, if it's already, and there's no off-street parking for that, so that might get congested.
Right. But it's an existing structure in use and they're using their own frontage already as well, the way it is. So that's why I assume the street parking would be fine. They don't have off-street there as well. And it's an existing use.
That would have been grandfathered if it was. I
Right.
don't know whether you can turn a current house into a duplex without, in certain areas you probably can, without approval.
I think it depends on the zoning. Yeah.
Yeah, it says R3 zone, so it's multifamily.
And back to the proposed plot there, the porch would be 4.5 foot from the sidewalk. give or take.
That's correct.
Okay, understand.
So I think this porch is 6 feet. So you're really to the structure where the building is, the livable area, it's 10.5 feet.
Rob, do you want to address at all Jeff's concerns at all? I mean, is there an issue with that, or
Say that again one more
do
time.
you want to address Jeff's concerns at all, Jeff Hoyer's concerns, the public?
I can't speak for the owners, but I wouldn't think that a privacy fence wouldn't be out of line. I think that'd be a reasonable request, or ask to put that in. And then as far as the parking, I think they were well aware of that when we put this together, that that's a city parking lot for the library, not for their tenants, so.
The city gave it to us years back.
Gotcha. Okay. So we could definitely make it be known that there's no parking by their tenants within that lot. It'd have to be either in the provided off-street or on-street if it's permitted. I don't think they would object to that at all.
Any other discussion by the board?
So on this, the parking question, so if it wasn't originally, or if it was originally a single family dwelling, and at some point in time was converted to a multifamily dwelling, and there are no off-street parking requirements. I know we're not hearing the parking, but being that this is going, may be separated and created as a new building lot, then it falls under our jurisdiction to call for a variance.
Well, what I would say on this is since that's kind of a separate issue, the caveat, and Ken's great at these, he's been doing these for a lot of years, I've noticed, is I would suggest that if you make a motion to approve this, it would probably need to be on the fact that the city would still need to investigate whether or not there needs to be another variance before the city gives final approval. It's usually how something like that would work. If that makes sense, because we don't have, I don't have the answer right now. John would have to.
To go look it up.
He'd have to go look it up, but I guess the point is a separate issue, because if that needs a variance, we'd still have to do the notification and everything again, so that people that might have a problem with it or not, or want to, just give, their opinion on the matter, still have the opportunity to do so. We can't even hear it, but we can put the caveat that we can give a full approval unless John gets that ruling to know whether or not they have to do. We could say we're fine with the setback. Like the motion could be something like, I make a motion to approve as long as the parking situation is resolved, and if there needs to be a variance on that, they'd have to come back for it. You'd have to put that caveat into the motion. Does that make sense?
That being said, I will make a motion to allow the proposed setback with the caveat that the parking, off-street parking is uncertain at this time, and that I personally would have problems with the off-street parking in the future. So whether that ties anything together.
Well, I guess that's where I was kind of getting at, is it prudent for us to vote on this setback if this other thing is or isn't in our jurisdiction, or is
So I would suggest this, and it doesn't matter if you're for or against it. If you want to make a motion to approve it, the parking's a separate issue. As long as it has a caveat that it has to be resolved first, it's really totally separate whether or not you're going to give the setback. All you want to do is make sure that it's not approved with something that needs to be a variance later that doesn't come up. Because if it's not a problem, we don't have the opportunity to vote yes or no on it anyway. So if John comes back and says it's totally fine, it fits within what Rob's saying, why come back and hear the setback? Because it may or may not happen. Does that make sense? I would rather put the caveat in so that if it's not a problem, we don't want to make them come back on something they didn't need to come back for. But we want to put the caveat in that if they do, we don't want the city to just hand over the approval without the investigation on this.
Right.
And if John and them come back and it fits within code, then why hear it again?
So
It's a waste of our time.
if on-street parking is permitted, you could vote with that caveat to say, yes, this is okay. But if it,
my concern was like, does it make sense to vote? But you're saying it does because there may not be an issue.
That's correct. If it's within code, why make them come back and delay what they're doing? All we're going to do is delay something that they're trying to do that fits within it. We just want to make sure that that what we don't know right now is been investigated and is fine. And if it's fine, it's fine. If not, then John's going to have to make them come back for another variance.
right, and if on-street parking is not permitted, we would come back for a variance just specifically for that.
That is correct. So all you have to do is make a motion with that caveat, that investigation, it's only approved based on the notion, or you can just prove it and say, listen, until that you can't move forward. However you want to state it is, but from my experience, it has to be, if you want to make sure that happens, it's got to be in the motion and agreed upon. Because that's what you're voting on, if that makes sense.
How about the privacy fence? Would that be a separate issue as well?
It's really, in my opinion, over the years, it's something that's not required. Unfortunately, Jeff knows this too. All he's saying is, as the public, we're not going to throw a real fit. Would you consider this? It's worth hearing it, but if the other setbacks, it's really not tied to it unless we want to make it, but then you have to decide on something like
entertain
that.
it on this particular variance request. I don't see a connection really.
I'll,
I might be more inclined to say something about a privacy fence there to keep, if you got a parking issue, and that's what we're addressing at that particular meeting or that variance hearing, then I may be more inclined to say, okay, we may grant this street parking, but you need a privacy fence to help them out with restricting, them parking over on that lot.
Okay.
That'd be mine.
I agree,
On
and
this.
it's my opinion too, that I don't like typically like to force things that are irrelevant to another thing, but it's always good that they hear each other, and if they want to accommodate that's fine. You get into a slippery slope sometimes, so you have to watch.
I'm sure they wouldn't have an issue with it. It's roughly 51 feet long. It's not going to be a big ask to put something up like that, I wouldn't think. And I'll strongly urge that they should do that. Just to be good neighbors. So that's my recommendation.
So Ken, are you comfortable in making that?
Yeah, I will.
Well, hold on real quick. I want to make sure, is there any more discussion by anybody else, public or board, or Jeff, do you want to have another shot at it based on what you hear? Okay.
I just have one clarification. Where is the 4.5 foot from? The sidewalk, the property line? Is the property line the city, is it a 16-foot alley? Is it a 20-foot alley? Where are we measuring the 4.5 foot
It's,
from?
it's from the property line or essentially the back of walk. We know where this line is. We did a lot of work for the library. So that's basically where the line resides, and that's where the setback starts.
Rob, is it basically the black line on the drawing?
That's correct. The black line or the blue or cyan line would be where the boundary line is. And then from that point back, 4.5 feet would be where the porch would start.
So I will go back and make a motion to approve a 4.5 foot setback from the Schrader Street front for the proposed duplex.
I'll second.
Real quick, I want to add a caveat to it that we're going to investigate the parking.
Yeah.
Okay. You have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
Thank you, fellas. We'll look into that on-street parking, and I guess may or may not see each other in a month.
All right, without any further business for the BZA, I need a motion to adjourn.
Tell you that we like the fence.
I have a second?
It's 51 feet. It's not that.
10 second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Adjourned.
Have a good night.
Now we're going to call to order the zoning committee,
Planning committee.
or planning committee. Call to order the planning committee. Can I have a roll call, please?
May. Sheets here. Planning, all right. Mayor Johnny Ergang.
Here.
Tony Gutzweiler.
Here.
Doug Amberger.
Here.
Jerry Bennett, absent. Melissa Tucker, absent. Doug Stock.
Here.
And Jim Dunbar is absent. Brad Marcy's here.
So I need a motion to approve the minutes from which month?
We're approving March 5th.
I need a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the March meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, so the only order of business tonight is a discussion about the State Road 46 mobile home park expansion. Do we have anybody here with that project that would like to speak? So if you can, just go up to the podium there.
Good evening. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Craig Doman. I'm here with my son, David, and my business partner, Adam Jackson. I'd like to just provide a brief introduction to who we are before I hand it over to Adam, who will get more into the details about our property and potential future plans with the property. I grew up here in Indiana, Northwest Indiana. I attended IU. I chose to stay in Indiana, which has been my home my whole life. My wife and I are raising 4 young children. We care about the future of the communities we live in and that we invest in. I've been in real estate. I've been a broker for the past 9 years. Over the past 5 years, I've begun investing in my own real estate projects with a focus on improving and providing affordable housing to the residents of Indiana. One of these projects is Wagner's Mobile Home Park, which is the property we're talking about tonight, which I own and operate with Adam. For me, this work is more than just a business. I try to approach it as a way to serve others, treating residents fairly, improving properties, and doing my best to create places people are proud to call home. My goal is to manage my properties in a way that honors God and reflects the principles of loving my neighbors myself. I own another mobile home park in Greene County, Indiana, where I've really brought that property up to speed. There was a lot of issues it used to have, including just unkept RVs and other things that were happening there, but I transformed it into a community that I personally would be comfortable with bringing my own family to live there. My business partner, Adam, he brings both a heart for service and strong business experience as well. He joined the U.S. Army in January 2002 in response to the events of September 11th, and he served honorably, leaving the Army with the rank of sergeant. After his military service, he began working as a civilian for the Navy, where he has worked for the past 15 years. In 2017, Adam started his first small business, a residential care facility in California that provides housing and support for individuals with developmental disabilities. That business is still operating today. In 2021, he began a focus on affordable housing here in Indiana, starting with a mobile home park and later expanding into long-term motel housing in an apartment complex. Together, we share the same goal to provide safe, stable, and affordable housing while being responsible members of the community where we invest. We appreciate the work this committee does and the responsibility you carry in guiding thoughtful development here in Batesville. We look forward to working with you and being stewards of the property that we manage. We did buy this property about 2 years ago, and so I'm going to hand it over to Adam to go into a bit more detail for this property, the ideas that we have, and the future of Wagner's Mobile Home Park and the residents we have there. So, Adam, I'll hand it over to you.
Hello, everyone. I think Craig kind of said everything there. Could you do the slide, please? So this is existing. When we first looked at this, we saw a lot of potential. And the potential was to bring affordable housing, like he said. Could you do another slide, please? This was sort of the idea that we had come about when we first started. I was emailing, I think the person I was emailing has since retired, but I was emailing back and forth. We were trying to figure out what made sense. And this is kind of it. 2 cars per area, not covering the sewer line, having a road over the sewer line that we know would be dug up if someone needed to get to the sewer line.
One thing I'll just mention, so right now it has 11 mobile homes on it with a 5,000 square foot garage. We have several ideas we want to present, but the ones in gray, those are the ones that we're proposing and what we're bringing to you guys. But right now there's 11 homes on the property.
Yeah. The gray would represent sort of street view, and this is just our initial idea because we like working with cities when we do these sorts of things, and we want to do what's best for the city. But we do have alternatives because we know that sometimes cities want different things. Can you do the next slide, please? So one thing that became popular over the last few years is a tiny home village, is what they call it. Now this shows like what max capacity would be. We probably would not put that many homes there. A tiny home village makes sense in some places, and it's feasible in certain areas, but it would require working with the city and allowing certain, I guess, variances and putting it in sort of like a mobile home park, like the rules of a mobile home park, but them being tiny homes. They would be on foundation. They'd be able to be sold if you wanted them to, or it could be rented. We plan on keeping up the property as well. And that was this particular idea for a conversation. And one more slide, please. I took the image of the warehouse because that's a suitable size, I think. And I showed what a rooming house would look like. It's typically 10 bedrooms downstairs, 10 bedrooms upstairs, a kitchen downstairs and upstairs, and 2 bedrooms per floor. To the left, you see would be enough parking. I know there's 5 cars per certain amount of square feet, and we would fit that. I don't think we would require too much of a. I don't think we require any variances for this because the place is so large, we'd be able to do everything that's necessary. And one more slide, please. Yes, please. So I just wanted to go over some assumptions and things before we started the conversation. One is we would put up a fence across the entire property to ensure that no one is bothered. We'd work with the city on egress to make sure that the flow of traffic is not disruptive if we were to add more homes. Like Craig said, and I've earlier, our goal is to bring the affordable housing. When we do that, we build a community. People who live there, we can elevate to status, sometimes even put them on payroll, what I've done on other places, allowing them to move up a little bit in the world, but at the same time, take care of the community that they love. And before we want to collaborate with you all, we want to do what's best for the city, and that kind of. The reason I mention that is because sometimes the city wants ownership and sometimes they want rentals for whatever reason. I'm saying both are opportunities here. So it's really how the conversation goes. You have any thoughts on that?
What? Yeah, I have a quick question, if you don't mind. So, and I know little about these, so you can educate me. So the people that have it out there now, do they rent the lot and they own their mobile home?
They own their mobile homes, and I believe we have some on contract to allow ownership once this paid off, right?
So there's only one home is sold on contract, so we bought it, but then they didn't pay. We're the bank for them. They're paying it off over time.
Sure.
So just one like that. And actually it's 14. I said 11. That's the other part. This one's 14. So 13, they're all owned by the individuals. And then we do have a tenant in the garage as well.
So do you, in your proposed thing, do you develop the lot and then you do an option where they own the home, they bring it in, or vice versa, where you buy and they rent? Is that how it works?
So we would go by the code. I know that to move a mobile home in, regardless of where it comes from, you have to get a building permit and some other things. So that would occur. And then they would have an opportunity. So people can bring their mobile home in, like you were saying, they could put it on the lot. We have our ordinance, I believe, that I submitted with the city a year or two ago, and they would have to abide by that. Or we could also put newer homes in on the lots and then allow them to buy on contract. We don't want to own anything. We want to provide home ownership, give people real value for where they're at. It's just, I understand sometimes things are different in different cities, so we're willing to discuss anything.
And so some of the homes on here, it ranges from homes that were built in the 70s to the 90s. All of these we've inherited. Any new homes that we bring to the property are going to be newer than that. Typically, and Adam and he owns a mobile home park. I own another one separately, but typically I don't allow anything more than 15 years old to be brought to my park. So anything that we do bring, it'll be, to me, an elevation on what the current homes already are for the feel of the park.
on your proposed map that's on the screen now, showing 11 additional spots, and that would be with the 11 that are currently there for a total of 22?
It was a mistake earlier. There's 14 there currently. There's actually one off this screen to the left, which is also another egress point. So it'd be a total of 25 plus the warehouse.
And the lighter gray line or parts there, that would be like a road. So we bring pavement and bring it more up to code.
Okay, the pavement seems to end before it gets back to 46.
So where it ends right there, like I said, there's a little cut off. There's an egress point on the left there. And then on the right side, that white line, it should be gray as well. I just think it's the coloring also leads out. So there's two egress points right there, one on the right, one on the left. And there's also one in the middle, but we wouldn't connect that to the lower part. There's a hill there and the homes are there. If you go to the first one, you might see
that
it.
house, that one up there.
Yeah,
is
our property actually sort of
existing
makes a
house.
U around a separate property.
Yeah, the original house, and he's got a
Yeah.
driveway. So you're going to use the driveway of that. What was that driveway of that other house to connect?
We're not using anything that is on their property. All the ingress egress is on our current property. The house has its own driveway, and that's actually the family that we bought the park from. They still live there themselves.
Could you go to the first slide? Because I think it shows the entire, or the first, so that's what we're talking about right there.
Yeah, that's better.
So that part is our egress point. So yeah, so that's where it ended, and it would go there all the way through, and that's the last mobile home right there on the left. We didn't plan on.
Where exactly is your property line? Between the house and the old work, small engine repair
Yeah, on the inside,
house, as you call it?
it's a horseshoe around the house in the center. I mean, you can't, even the driveway is a little bit darker. You can't really see it, but yep, that's their driveway. So that,
This is the house.
yep.
Mhm.
So we do not own that.
You're here,
Yep,
across to here.
yep, exactly.
The house has a cutout in the middle.
Yep,
Yes,
yes, sir.
They're the previous owners, so they had all of it, and when they sold it, they just cut their house out of it.
Why does the planning,
But I must have
why is planning need to give approval on this?
Already, but yeah.
Is there infrastructure somewhere, why is planning need to give approval on this, so I understand?
Like I said, we won't be voting anything today. They're just trying to get guidance. For mobile home parks, they are only allowed through PUD. And if they're expanding, they have to bring it up to code. So they would have to go through the PUD process, which would go through planning.
Okay, I understand.
The
Thank-
tiny home things they brought up, we don't have anything for that. I would assume it's the same process because you would be changing a lot of standards and variances to make them that size. The room and boarding houses that they brought up, those are allowed in B3, which is this is zoned. Those are just allowed in that, so they would not need anything for those.
So what we're proposing then is just approval for planning to move forward in that direction, or we're not foreseeing any variances or anything?
No, they just kind of want direction on which way to go because if people up here just say we don't want mobile home parks,
You're going to go a different direction.
yes.
So
Rather than waste time to do all the work to make a PUD for that, if you guys are just, they haven't actually notified the public for anything. So without voting or anything, they just kind of want to get the board's opinions on what you guys prefer in this area so we can
Okay,
move forward and not do this multiple times.
gotcha,
the
understand.
operation piece of it. We would, after we discuss this, if there was a path forward that we decided on, we would talk to the neighbors as well. Not something that we want to be a surprise to anybody.
Understand.
you mentioned something about you wanted to know whether we preferred home ownership or rental. I'm a little curious with the tiny houses, so to speak. I mean, are you talking like the 300 square foot, the 400 square foot, two-car garage size? And I'm curious on how home ownership would work on something like that.
So if we did that, one, I apologize for the quality of the images. I didn't bring my computer with me, and I just kind of put something together with Microsoft Paint. I didn't expect to be here today, so sorry about that. But to answer your question, this tiny home village is different for every city. So the question is, what would you like to see? If you wanted to see 480 square foot homes with a one car, I don't know if 2 car makes sense, but you know, a garage, things of that nature, we could do that. We would plot it out in this scenario. That way they can have their own address, because these will be homes right on foundation, and this will be basically a neighborhood for them right outside the city.
Okay. This might be a weird request, but is there anybody here from the public that has an opinion on that? I know there's one person sitting back there. I just want to make sure that if we're going to discuss things, we might as well everybody discuss them. With that, I mean, is there any discussion by anybody on the board?
I guess a question that I would have, like, again, this is new. Obviously the trailer park's not. But we don't have anything history on the tiny home.
No.
So I guess the thing I would be curious with, and have you guys done the tiny home?
So I'm in the process of working with the city of Bloomington to turn my mobile home park into a tiny home village. It's a little unique there. They have community housing development funds, CHODO, and I'm partnering with a nonprofit. The nonprofit will own the home.
Excuse me, are they doing that in part to deal with their homeless population?
I don't know if it's the homeless population per se, but when I first started there, 2-bedroom and 3 bedrooms was desired, and by the time I built my apartment complex, 1 bedrooms is what they desired, because I have some efficiencies in 1 bedrooms, and those are the ones everybody want to live in. So the city, and then the mayor there wants they want a hostel and they want a tiny home village. It's kind of funny how that worked out, and they want home ownership. I do this in Columbus, and I have my rooming house there, and they want rentals. That's what I'm saying. It depends. Some cities say if you bring against a tiny home village, you can just do it. Some still make us go through all of the hoops, but they're willing to provide funds and stuff like that. So I wanted to bring it up here just so you could see it and think about it, because I wasn't sure if you all also thought about something like this.
Well, the reason I was asking is like, because we'd have to write all kinds of standard as far as the size of home, and is that, or am I wrong?
I think that's where we would just do the PUD process again. I think we could do it through that. I mean, I have to confirm with Blaine, since the PUD is kind of its own zoning area anyways. There's planned unit developments. I think we could do it through that, but I'd have to confirm with Blaine.
If I could just
it wouldn't fit any of our other.
Yeah.
You know, it wouldn't fit any of our other zones.
But I think if you set up the planned unit development as such,
Yes.
That takes care of it.
I think it would. Yeah.
It gives us the groundwork.
Yeah, I'd say that's a
Specific zoning for that area through the planned unit development to make it match what we want.
You say this is currently B3?
It's currently B3.
If I could just input one thing, if we had our preference, we would go through with a mobile home park of adding more pads. But the other ideas is just in case that doesn't.
You know, I was about to, I appreciate that, because my next question was, what do you guys prefer? Because I don't know if I have an opinion on this, to be honest with you. I never even thought about it. I had no idea.
We really think it makes sense.
What direction you want to go?
Both for us and the community, it's already a mobile home park. You know, it had nothing to do with one of my tenants, but I had someone park there just last week. I did call, not 911, but I called the police, say, hey, can I get this towed? How does this happen? And they said they never get calls from this park. You know, it's not what some people think of as slum mobile. It's a well-run mobile home park. Even the folks we bought it from, the lady that we bought it from, she ran it like a military base. I mean, it was, you don't cross her. And when we bought it from her, we've kept standards. So
No, I can say I've never heard anything. And that's why I don't even know if I have an opinion. That's why I want to know what you prefer, because there's never been a discussion about this place. I had to ask him where this was. I mean, I drive by it all the time and
Yeah.
I know it's there, but
It's right across from the attorney's.
yeah,
Yep.
I know where it is, but I didn't know by looking at it. I'm like, I don't even know where this is.
Yep.
Any other guy, any opinions?
I have no opinion one way or the other. I'm open to anything. I'm not gonna close out anything.
As a member of the public, isn't that like where the trees are at the bottom of that image? I think that's a pretty big creek that runs through there. Well, there's a pond, and then there's
a
creek
ditch that runs through there.
I know people that live kind of right next door here, and if I'm not mistaken, does the bottom part of that like flood occasionally?
It does.
We've
I live there too.
And I'm just a little, when some of the plans had units like all the way
If you
down
could
by the river.
Go back to the first picture. These pictures are somewhat misleading. So, and I didn't crop enough of it. It goes down further. The trees are leaning over.
The creek runs along that tree line there.
They're leaning over. There's a lot of room in between there. There is actually a swing set of sorts that is just underneath the white part there on the right, underneath the tree, because it goes down even further.
On the bottom right corner.
But kind of the bottom right corner.
Yeah, like it goes even
doesn't
further down. Yeah,
that whole area when we get a lot of rain.
and we wouldn't be building
Floods.
there.
Well, the other part about that is it would still have to, through the
go through
PUD process, it'd have to go through the city. They would have to make sure.
tech review and everything, and
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that would
I've
go in without.
discussed
proper
with these guys with the sanitary lines. We wouldn't want any homes on the sanitary lines and anything south of them because that's basically where it floods.
Right.
So, you know. And I know some of those pictures shown, but I also know when I was talking to you guys, you talk about laying them out differently.
So that one on the line on the bottom could go to the top one. It's really, so I didn't have a lot of time. I just tried to put something together so it would make sense while we were talking about it. Anything we do, like you were saying, is going to go through the PUD, and we would be doing this together, right? This is a community type thing.
Yes.
We would all be on the same page if we were doing this.
Yeah, first draft.
Well, I'll start with my opinion, considering the fact that it's already a mobile home. I don't know that I really care in the sense of the fact that, I mean, if we're not going for variances or anything else, I mean, again, I never talk about it, never hear anything about the place. If it's already there, I don't know if that helps you or not, but I mean.
We like that. That's
Okay. I mean, that's why I was kind of curious as to what you wanted to do, what your preference would be, because I don't know that I care.
My, like, and I'm not to even say it that way, but it's like if it's going to stay what it is, then I don't think that there's, you know, a blessing or whatever you want to say to it. But you know, you start talking about the other things, it's like, well, does that what meets the spatial requirements and everything else? And I think I would have more questions about that as to how. But you mentioned again that that's doable within this.
I think it's doable through the PUD process. Like I said, the mobile home expansion, it's just because there was nothing made when we made the zoning, so it's just grandfather in, and once they expand, it has to go through the PUD process, which honestly, it's already there. If it goes to the PUD process, we can make them put in roads, make them put in landscaping buffer or fence. You know, you can make it so you can take what they are and make it a little nicer through that process so they can expand.
Well, I mean, it sounds like they're trying to improve upon
Yes.
that. I mean, obviously get more rentable or sellable space for an investment standpoint, but to take care in doing so, to your point, I don't know that it really affects the city even. I mean, they're not, I shouldn't say the city, but us.
Currently, all these mobile home lots that are rented, are they platted in any way?
No, there's just two parcels that we own, and all of the homes are on the two parcels.
So you could reconfigure that space into whatever if it met code.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's just one parcel.
What is there a guideline restriction that says that a mobile home lot has to be X square feet.
Our guidelines are so many acres. I think it's supposed to be.
Penny per acre.
Yeah.
There is a section in your UDO that
So in other words, there's a possibility of
Actually-
something being done there as a rule.
5
They'd have to come
acres.
back for a variance if they wanted to change it, right, Ken?
And we all probably realize that mobile homes have a shorter lifespan than other homes, that some of these are getting 50, 60 years old and probably might be near their useful life.
So when things of that nature, when someone leaves or moves out, we would just replace the home.
So you would have a new home next to a 50-year home, which is not unusual in any.
No,
Correct.
we would replace the home. We would remove the 50-year-old home and put in a newer home because they moved out. Right. So
Have you guys talked to the neighbors? Have you got any feedback from any of this at all?
No, not really. I mean, we talked to them, but not about this. Not yet.
can say that someone had, we lost one tenant, and within 48 hours, someone from that community reached out to someone they knew, and then they bought. They're the one that's on contract. So there is a demand for this. It's just
There's a demand already on the board for housing in Batesville. There's no doubt what it is, but. Any other discussion by the board?
I think that it would be the adjacent property owners that would be more, have an opinion that maybe.
And some of us too on the board.
Right, some of
I
us,
agree
right.
with you.
But if you're looking-
Since I'm sort of one of the adjacent property owners, I can pretty much assure you that my next door neighbor will. From my personal perspective, you mentioned the fencing and so forth, which I think is, fair and reasonable. I guess my concern would really be about the number that we could reasonably fit in there when we account, in the event that we had to get fire equipment and so forth back there. And again, I would be somewhat concerned about that bottom, because I've seen that from that little creek become wider than the Whitewater River, seriously. And it does it more than every 500 years. So, I mean, I think, neighbors would have reasonable concerns, but, again, to your point, we don't have a lot of complaints here. I know we did have one, and that was addressed by our building department.
took care of it.
Yeah. And just from, talking to Blaine, also happens to live there, Blaine, the city attorney who you talked with, his property, I believe, adjoins. Yeah, he said he's never heard any complaints. So we haven't had issues there. I just want to make sure we don't get them packed in a manner that it's going to be a concern for our fire and EMS folks.
But I think,
Having
again,
access.
through the PUD process and the rest of that.
That would all have to go through tech review, and file would have to look at that.
Right. It'd all have to be approved through tech. Doug, what about you? Any opinions? Because you'd be voting on it.
Right. No, I think go ahead with the expansion is fine.
I don't personally have any objections I can think about right now.
Yeah, if you're looking to find if there's an upfront bias against what you want to do or something, I don't feel that way at all. I mean, as long as dot the i's and meet the requirements, I got no preconceived notion against mobile homes or expanding the mobile home park.
We appreciate that. It's more in line. The UDO didn't have a spot for it, and there's no template for the PUD on your website. So I kind of wasn't sure what to do. So I reached out to Grant, who was able to get me an audience with Blaine and then John, and then we kind of hashed it out a little bit. And John was right. What I originally discussed was not what was displayed there, and that's because I knew that if I were to turn those homes and go down, it would encroach on the other person's property, so that wouldn't be possible. Those rectangles that were there are sized to scale. So what you saw there is what could potentially fit there.
So I would caution you for, just the nature of the beast, I'm sure you guys are sensitive about it. Whatever you do, I would steer away from needing variances.
Sure.
That's where you're gonna really, in my opinion, versus planning. If it goes through tech review and it meets fire and it all being there, I personally, I don't see as big of a thing. You start going in for variances, I think you're gonna run into a problem.
I don't think we'll need to. There is a mobile home park section, so there's guidelines there on how we can go about, and then through the PUD process will be the rest of the guidelines that are missing from there. So I think we should, the yard is, or the ground is large enough, so we should be able to do whatever's necessary. Even, I originally said only one car too, because I thought that might not be enough, but as I was doing things to scale, and the cars are also to scale, I was like, okay, we could fit 2 cars for each one, so we wouldn't need a variance there.
Yeah, like I said, and it's not my place to say that a variance wouldn't pass. I'm not saying that. It just, the sensitivity and nature of this, I would steer clear if you can.
It took 2 to 3 years to build the apartment complex in Bloomington because 2 people on the sides of the variance didn't like each other. It had nothing to do with me. So I understand that completely. We're trying to.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to share?
That's it.
I hope we gave you enough information. I don't know if it was worth it or not.
That was fantastic.
So,
We appreciate your time. Absolutely. This was good.
all right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, without any other business and planning, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I need a second.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.